Hey there everybody, it's Andy. This ain't going to be a normal video, as you all know. I just want to show off, that's kind of a bad sounding word. I just want to show everybody my Atari 2600 collection. I figured why not? It seems like a fun idea to do. It's Sunday night and I'm kind of bored. One thing you're going to notice, I have multiple copies of some of the same games. That's because when you buy these, either on eBay or in lots, you're going to have like a basket full of games, and there's going to be 5 or 6, maybe possibly more of the same game in there. I was lucky. I've only mainly collected 2 of each sometimes. So I'm going to go ahead and start here. I'm going to start with Atari games, move on down to Atari official cards, then move on down to Activision, Coleco, Parker Brothers, and then end up with M Network. So let's go ahead and get started. First up, got Gravitar here. 2 copies of it. Gravitar is a really fun game. It's the one where you start off with a listing of little planets that you have to go to with your spaceship. You fly there, you blow up all the guns on it, and then the planet you fly up, and the planet blows up. It's really fun. Gravity's based. It's great. Next up, we got Dig Dug. Yep, 2 copies of this one as well. Dig Dug is a pretty cool game. If you don't know what Dig Dug is, I'm sure you know what Dig Dug is. But it's just a great game. You know, you're digging around through the dirt and getting everything. Okay, next is something kind of cool. One of the very first console RPGs. That's right, Adventure. Now what's cool about these versions, I have the colored, the nice labeled version here. Yep. And then I have the older style with just the text on the front. Yeah, so, it's just kind of cool. This game's can go from pretty easy to ridiculously hard. Alright, coming up next here is Defender. Defender wasn't the best version in the world, especially Williams had to adapt their multi-button game to work on the Atari single joystick and button, but it's still fun. I had a lot of great fun on it. Space Invaders. I got 2 of the old versions here. Yep. Space Invaders, as you know, this is what basically launched the Atari into the stratosphere. One of the first games that was incredible. Little guys come down on the screen, you got to shoot them. I'm sure you all know what that is. I got 2 copies of this, but 1 copy is keeping the dust from getting into my one Atari that's not wrapped up. And of course it's Centipede. That's right, Centipede. Thing's coming down from the top like this, and you got to shoot it before it breaks off and creates new ones. Great game. Next up is Pole Position. That's right, Pole Position. One of the great arcade racing, arcade racing games for the 2600. Pole Position 2 came out for the 7800. Better graphics and all, but I love the classic. Alright, next we got Vanguard. This game's pretty fun. You're basically a spaceship. You're going through the little portals or wormholes or something like that. And it's a great game. I haven't played it in a while, but had a lot of fun with it. Yar's Revenge now. Game is harder than heck, I tell you. This game is incredibly hard, but really fun. Basically, the little spaceship or space station on the right here is protected, and you play Yar. You got to destroy the thing. Alright. Next, Super Breakout, a better version of Breakout. As you know, Breakout was originally programmed by, who better, Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak. I have the manual for this one too, so that's kind of cool. Super Breakout had a better processor in here, actually in the cartridge, that made it better than the original Breakout. Of course, it's also got a weird mode here. It's a special feature. This game program, that's what Atari called all the games, game program. Contains additional versions for young children, so I guess it makes the game easier. I never flipped over to them. Alright, coming up is the, believe it or not, it's the port of Pac-Man for the Atari 2600. This game got a bad rap. They said it was horrible, it wasn't like the arcade. Well, that's true. It's not like the arcade, but you know what? It's still darn fun, and I'm going to say that till I die. I think the game's fun. People that don't, I guess, are expecting too much. I mean, come on, it's a 2600. Alright. Next up, Missile Command. Got 2 copies of that. Yep, that's the nice versions there. Missile Command, of course, is a game where the missiles are coming down and you got to blow them up. And a lot of fun. I used it in my intro video on one of my on the first few ones. Next is the amazing game Combat. Never have I seen such a simple game be so much fun. Combat's basically tank pong, invisible tank, biplanes, and jet fighters. And you basically just 1 or 2 players, and you go around and you're firing missiles or cannons and stuff, depending on what you are, tank or biplane or jet fighter, back and forth, and whoever gets highest score wins. It's a great game. All right, next we have a better version of Pac-Man. It's Miss Pac-Man. Yep. After the first Pac-Man was a failure, it was a commercial failure, but I like it. But anyways, after it was a failure, they released this. This is actually a lot better graphics and gameplay. Alright, next is Joust. I don't know, I don't really care for Joust all that much. That's where you're flying on the flamingo there, and you're the little Viking dude. The game's okay. Just not a super huge fan of it. Alright, next we have a classic title from Namco. It is, well, actually it was, trademark of Bally Midway, manufactured, licensed by Namco of America. It's Galaxian. That's right, it's almost like Galaga, but the enemies don't fly in. It's still a lot of fun to play there. Alright, and then, last but not least, of the Atari, official Atari carts, is one of my favorites, Asteroids. That's right, it's the classic game of Asteroids. You know, that's what asteroids are in. You got to shoot them out. Spaceships, enemy spaceships come in, you blast them. Great game, great fun. Hours can be had there, even today. Alright, now we're going to get into the Activision. A little bit of story about that. Basically, if you notice on these cards, this ain't an Activision disc, but you see it just says Asteroids and then it says Atari at the bottom. Yeah, it's kind of blurry there, but yeah, it doesn't say who made it. And the people who started Activision were sick and tired of not getting recognition, not getting paid much, no stock offerings or anything from Atari. So they decided to make their own company and sell games that will work with the Atari. The thing of it is, Atari didn't like that. They only wanted people to be able to buy Atari stuff for the Atari. So, in a lawsuit, they lost. So Activision was able to make games, and I applaud that whoever made them lose, because imagine it'd be like owning a PlayStation today and only getting games from Sony. Exactly. We never see anything cool because you could only see it the way one company wanted you to see it. So let's go ahead and get on the Activision carts. First thing I'd like to say is I just noticed this today. I'm sure a lot of diehard Atari people have noticed this for years, and they're probably going to laugh at me, but oh well. Okay, here's the 4 Activision carts I have. They're stackable. Yeah, they interlock, and I thought that was kind of cool. And so let's get into the Activision carts, starting with a classic, Pitfall. That's right. One thing I liked about the Activision carts, they actually had a little handle here. Yeah, so it's easy to grab it out of the cart. Yeah, out of the Atari. But it also had a picture of what the game looked like, and it said who made it. This particular one was conceived and designed by David Crane. Alright, we're going to move on to Kaboom here. That's another classic game. Kaboom, I mean, come on. Activision also did something cool with these, is that, especially in Kaboom, if you could get like a score of 5,000, I think it was 5,000 or 3,000, you could send away for a pin, and it was like a special pin that you could wear, you know, like a shirt pin, and it would say that you're part of the Water Brigade. So they had like all these send-in high score things you could get. Skiing is another great title. It's almost like that old Microsoft skiing game. And then, of course, the original Chopper Command, where you're flying around rescuing the little dudes on the ground. That's pretty much my Activision collection. I don't have Pitfall 2. That's just... Well, one thing about my collecting of video games, which I'm going to be doing a few of these videos, because I've got a few collections over here. I got a big shelf. I'm going to put some pictures up sometime, but top shelf's Atari, next one's down Saturn, next one down below is Atari games, PlayStation games, the one below that's extra Atari 2600, and my PlayStation stacked up, and the bottom shelf goes to Nintendo. No, not because I don't like Nintendo or anything, it's just that's where I was just putting stuff on the shelf, and that's where it went. But I have a nice Nintendo selection. It's not just current stuff. It's well, I don't know. I got a Game Boy Micro. Well, I'll tell you about that later.